World famous Butch and Bob show right here on WIFO 105.5 FM in Jessup, Big Dog Country Radio. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning.
How's it going?
Good. Getting ready for the weekend. Football. NFL football.
NFL football playoffs second round. And I do want you to know that our crack IT guy, Mark, got things worked out. So not only we normally air the Jaguars on the AM, WLOP, Fox Sports Radio, 1370 AM The Buzz, all season long. But this Saturday's game, which will begin at 3:30 with the pregame, kickoff at 4:30, will also be heard on WIFO 105.5 FM. So it'll be both stations.
Good deal.
Yep, so you can tune in to 105.5 FM or AM 1370 and listen to Jacksonville Jaguar football this weekend on Saturday. 3:30 pregame, kickoff at 4:30, and it's always interesting to hear the Jacksonville Jaguars announcers. They give you way more insight into the Jags than the announcers from TV or some other source.
Trevor Lawrence has never lost a Saturday game.
I know that. Isn't that amazing? Never lost a Saturday game in high school, college, or pro. Never lost a Saturday game.
And this game's on Saturday.
But he's playing Mahomes and the Chiefs in Kansas City.
Kansas City. I'm just telling you.
I know it too. I know it too. Never lost a Saturday game in his entire existence. High school, college, and pro.
That's like
ever.
That's like Joe Burrow's never lost against Josh Allen. So, but he's in Buffalo. So it'll be interesting how all these trends pan out. So
yeah, and we do want you to know that Congressman Buddy Carter will be calling in just a few moments. He's tied up in a meeting.
He said about 8:15 he should be calling in.
Yeah, about 8:15, somewhere along there. So Congressman Buddy Carter will be calling in, and it'll be very interesting to see and hear what he's got going on. I mean, there's so much stuff going on up there. There always is in Washington. You just think that every single day that you've got the two opposite camps up there. Seems like they get up each day and saying, how can we make the other camp, how can we make the other party, how can we make the other politicians look bad? Not what can we do for the country, how can we make the other folks look bad? And this is a shame. You wish that they could work together instead of it's everything. You listen to it on the radio, watch it on TV, look at it on the internet. It's always putting down the other side. It's just can't we just get along? But apparently not. But politics has basically always been like that, Bob. I mean, even the father of our nation, George Washington, had his big critics, people who just ripped him apart. Yeah, and it's been that way all through the years. Just politics brings out the best in everybody, doesn't it, Bob? The worst, it seems. Oh boy, but it's just you watch it and you listen to it and you hear it and you read it. It's like how can we make them look bad? How can we make us look good? How can we put them down? What kind of quick remarks can we come up with that sound cute and to put down the other side, instead of them standing there together and say, okay, what can we do for the betterment of our country? I don't know, Bob. It's just the way it is, and that's human nature, and it's not a doggone thing any of us could do about it, I guess.
Nature of the beast, I guess.
Nature of the beast, I reckon. But, looking forward to football weekend coming up with all the teams playing there. And, Dallas is still an underdog to San Fran.
So San Francisco's got the local kid T.Y. McGill on that defensive line, so hopefully he can get to the Super Bowl.
That's right. T.Y. McGill played at Wayne County High School. He plays on the defensive line for San Francisco. So go T.Y.
Yeah, I see him get to the Super Bowl.
That would be nice to see a Wayne County.
It'd be the first time since Lynn Haas played in the Super Bowl.
Oh, will it be?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that. Yeah. All those years, and the only one that's ever played in the Super Bowl has been Lynn Haas. Man.
From Wayne County.
Yeah. Too bad that New Orleans didn't make it when Lindsey was there. But they didn't. But that's amazing. So, yeah, that's a good reason to pull for San Fran to get to the Super Bowl, at least on the NFC side. Of course, the AFC side, I'm pulling for the Jags.
He's playing quite a bit, too.
Yeah, he is.
Making some tackles, so I said it'd be nice to see it. he's been a journeyman. He's been with a lot of teams, but he's landed on a good spot right now with San Francisco. Favored to get to the Super Bowl for sure. I mean, they're the odds-on favorite. I take it back. Philadelphia's
Philadelphia's
number one seed, but still. But the Cowboys, look out for the Cowboys.
I don't know. The Cowboys, they talk about their last month there. They
Prescott
didn't do all that
good.
well. They only did good because they played a team that had a losing record. They played Tampa Bay that had a losing record. And everybody said, "Oh, look how great they look." Well, look what they did the 5 games before that.
But they got a difference maker on defense. That Micah Parsons, he's pretty darn good. So he causes havoc on that side of the ball. So
yep.
I mean, they say it all the time. It's hard to get to the Super Bowl. It's hard, when that opportunity knocks, you got to take advantage. Because every year the rosters change, people leave. So the Cowboys, if they're getting this is like their window of opportunity. But the Bucks, I can't tell if the Cowboys played that well or the Bucks played that bad. I think it was a combination of both.
I think it was, like I said, the Bucks had. Okay, here we go. We're going to play weather, and then we'll be back with Congressman Buddy Carter. Stay tuned.
South Georgia weather. IFO forecast. Mostly cloudy, slight chance of showers, slight chance of thunder early. Then a better chance of showers in the afternoon, highs mid-70s. Partly cloudy, clearing late night tonight, less humid, mid-40s. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, mid-60s, low 40s Friday night. Saturday, partly sunny, becoming mostly cloudy, highs in the upper 50s. Georgia Chief Meteorologist John Weatherby in the Georgia 811 Weather Center. Contact 811 before you dig.
And on the phone with us is Congressman Buddy Carter on the World Famous Butch Bob Show. Buddy, always good to talk to you. Appreciate you calling in.
Thank you, Bob. Always a pleasure to be with you.
Well, last time we talked to you before the new year rang in, you were convinced that Kevin McCarthy was going to be the House Speaker. Took longer than I think you expected. I was telling people you got a lot of airtime on TV. You got a good seat in Congress right there, kind of in the front row. But your thoughts on why it took so long, what all took place, and people were saying he had to sell his soul to the devil. I mean, I know you're a big supporter of his, so your thoughts on him being the Speaker and the whole process, and just want to get your thoughts on how it all went down.
Well, as far as the whole process is concerned, let's face it, democracy is messy, and this was messy. If Skip Carey were calling this game, he would have said an inauspicious start, and it was an inauspicious start. And, it took 15 votes. That's the most in a long, long time and in the history of our country. And but, through it all, I think we're better for it. And I do mean that, and I mean that sincerely. We've got some rule changes in place now that I really like. Not all of them, but most of them I do. As far as this, he sold his soul to the devil. Quite honestly, I wasn't privy to all of those negotiations. So I don't know if there were deals made or if there weren't deals made. And if there were deals made, I don't know exactly what was included. I do know what is included in the rules package because I voted on it. And I like what's included in the rules package. I like most of it. There are a couple of them that I would rather do without. But for the most part, particularly as it relates to spending, I like what we've done, and I like the changes that have been made. I've always believed that government from the bottom up works better as opposed from the top down, and this gives us the opportunity in the House for the members to have more say than just the leadership. So I think it's a good thing. I think it's a real good thing.
If you're just joining us on the phone, Congressman Buddy Carter. Also, before we talked to you, or last time we talked to you, you said when you get up there, you want to get on the committee. One committee you want to get on is looking at the budget. So have you been able to get on that committee and tell us about that process?
I'm sorry, Bob, you were breaking up. I apologize.
I said, when we talked to you last time, you said when you went up there, you wanted to get on that budget committee. Have you been able to get on that committee?
Right. Yeah, I am on the budget committee, and I'm very glad to be on that budget committee. I was not fortunate enough to be elected chairman of that committee. However, we do have a good chairman, Jody Arrington from Texas. He's going to do a fine job, and I'm going to do everything I can to assist him to be successful and assist our conference to be successful. Let's face it, Bob, $32 trillion in debt. This is something, we have identified in our conference as being one of the top priorities, one of the biggest challenges to our country right now. China, our debt, and education. And we have got to address this debt. This is intergenerational theft. I mean, we are digging a hole so deep that our children and our grandchildren will never be able to get out of it.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Why are there some congressmen and senators out there that think there's just an unlimited amount of money to be able to spend, that, you know, you never can spend too much when you do have a limited income?
You know, it is beyond me, Butch, because I was in a roundtable discussion and had a couple of Democrats in there with me. And you know, I respect them. They're smart people. But one of them, you know, we talked about having a constitutional amendment to have a balanced budget. And for us to codify it, that we have to balance our budget, just like they do in the state of Georgia, just like you do at your house, just like you do at your business, just like most states do. And he was saying, no, we can never do that. We can never do that. And then we got talking about the debt limit, and he was saying we should just do away with the debt limit. We shouldn't have a debt limit. Well, you know, how can you say that? How can you say we shouldn't have a debt limit? How can you say we shouldn't balance our budget? It's as if we just keep printing money, thinking that it's never going to have to be paid back. That's not right. It is going to have to be paid back. And now we are paying so much on the interest alone on our debt. This year it will be the third highest line item in our budget.
Well, there's some economists out there who think this is all going to come tumbling down before long.
There are, and I agree with them. I mean, right now we are the reserve currency. The dollar is the reserve currency in the world, and I'm not sure how much longer that's going to last. You know, China wants to replace us economically, and they want to be the reserve currency, and you know, if we continue on like this, we are going to be in a mess. We're going to have a mess because we're going to have to pay the piper, and I don't know what's going to happen whenever that day comes.
One place a lot of money's going is Ukraine, and they're saying now that war's not going to end anytime soon. They're talking years this is going to go on. So, you see any end in sight in that?
I don't, and I am concerned, and we are concerned. You know, Kevin McCarthy took a lot of criticism when he said that we are going to have oversight over this money that's going to Ukraine. He never said that, you know, we were going to cut it off or we weren't going to support them. He simply said that we need to be accountable to the taxpayers. We are the guardians of the taxpayers' money. When you pay taxes, you are depending on members of Congress to watch over that money and to be accountable for that money. But we, you know, just signing a blank check to Ukraine, and listen, Europe has got to pick it up too. They've got to do their part.
Yeah, and on the phone with us, Congressman Buddy Carter. Any good news and any agreements between the Republicans and Democrats? You see anything moving forward? Is there something we can look and say both parties are going to come together and say they agreed with this?
Well, I think there are a couple of things that we were able to do the first week. First of all, we suspended the hiring of 87,000 IRS agents, and I think that's good. Look, the IRS needs to be accountable as well. Oversight is one of the strongest tools that we have in our tool chest. It is going to be one of our priorities during this session, is to have oversight over these agencies. Look, I want to help the IRS to be successful. If they need new equipment, if they need new software, whatever they need, but I'm just not going to throw money at it. I want them to be accountable. I want them to tell me, how can you be more efficient? We have so many people in our district calling our office wanting to get help with getting their tax refunds from back in 2014 and 2015. You know, why is that? Why are people having to wait that long? We actually had a meeting with a group of CPAs, and one of the firms told me, and this just blew me away. He said, we've actually gone into contract, and we have a company that sits on the telephone calling the IRS for us. And when they get them on the phone, they call us and say, here, we got them for you.
Well, yeah, I know accountants who go through the same thing. It's hard to get a hold of them, and they also talk about the IRS's outdated software and things of that sort. So, you know, supporting them, yeah, but I know a lot of folks don't want to see 80-something thousand new IRS agents. But also, tell us about the fair tax. You've been getting a lot of press on that.
That's been amazing. The fair tax has been around for almost 25 years. It is a Georgia oriented tax, or originated, I should say, tax. John Linder, who was a member of the Georgia delegation from North Georgia, he and Rob Woodall worked on this. At that time, Rob Woodall was his chief of staff. John later retired from Congress, and Rob Woodall became a member of Congress. Well, when I first entered Congress 8 years ago, I made a pledge that the first bill I would co-sponsor would be the Fair Tax Act, and it was. And I did that for 2 sessions. Then Rob Woodall retired. And when Rob retired, he asked me, he said, will you please carry and be the lead sponsor for the fair tax? I said, I'd love to. So it has been the first piece of legislation that I have introduced each session. I love it. I mean, it is so simplistic. I'm a very simplistic person, very thoroughish. Simplify, simplify, simplify. And all it is a consumption tax. I mean, it is simply a consumption tax. People don't like to pay taxes. I know I don't. Maybe y'all do, but I don't. But anyway, they would prefer a consumption tax as opposed to a property tax or a payroll tax or an income tax. At least on a consumption tax, you decide whether you want to pay the tax or not. If you're going to buy a boat, you're going to pay a tax. If you don't want to pay the tax, don't buy the boat. It's as simple as that. Now, it does work because there are people who criticize it and say this hurts the very low-income people. That's not true. Everyone in this country will get a check at the first of the month. It's called a prebate. And what that check will cover will be the bare essentials. It'll get you all the way up to the poverty level so that you can afford groceries, you can afford clothing, you can afford rent. It will not penalize those people. But what it will do is to close that gap in the dark money, the people who are not claiming their income, who are getting paid under the table. No longer will that be a problem. The illegal immigrants who are in our country who aren't paying taxes, now they're going to pay a tax if they buy something because it is a consumption tax. And also they say, well, the wealthy don't pay their fair share. Well, they'll be paying their fair share now. They buy more than we do. I mean, the taxes on a yacht are more than they are on the John boat. Now, you and I don't buy a John boat, but these rich people, they buy yachts. And the taxes on a yacht are a lot more than they are on John boats.
Yeah, I think a lot of people agree with you there. There's a lot more fair tax there, but I think it's too simple for a lot of those folks up there in Washington, D.C.
It is, and supposedly, and I do not know this for a fact, but supposedly this was part of those negotiations that went on between the 20 holdouts who weren't voting for Kevin to begin with. They said, we want to vote on the fair tax. And again, I don't know that for certain, but that's what I've been told. And I've been told that it is going to get a hearing and it is going to get a vote. So we'll see.
What do you make of the latest scandal, the federal documents that Biden, it's kind of funny to me, but anyway, but how do you see that playing out? I know they say he's getting frustrated. So what do you think about all that?
Well, I think there's some similarities and some stark differences between what happened with former President Trump and President Biden. First of all, these documents that were found in President Biden's garage next to his beloved Corvette, these documents were from when he was vice president. Now, vice president does not have the authority to take classified documents like the president does, or to declassify documents. The president does. Now, these were from when he was vice president, so that's a big difference there. Another difference is, that was Joe Biden saying, I'm concerned. I can't believe this happened. I can't believe that former President Trump did this. Well, now, you've been caught, and not only in your garage at home, but in other areas as well. We found documents, and all of a sudden, well, it's not that bad. It just seems to be rules for thee, but not for me.
It's a nice Corvette.
It is a nice Corvette.
Yeah, very nice Corvette. What's going to happen with the Hunter Biden situation now that the Republicans have the majority in the House?
Well, I can assure you there'll be oversight into that. There'll be investigations into that. Jim Jordan with the Judiciary Committee, Jamie Comer with the Oversight and Investigations Committee, both of those are intent on oversight and investigations into the classified documents, and also into Hunter Biden's laptop and other things. So and we all know Jim Jordan's a bulldog, and he will not stop until he gets to the bottom of it. So I feel very comfortable that that's going to be taken care of, and that's going to be looked at with fine-tooth comb, I can assure you.
Speaking of Bulldogs, you still on cloud nine like I am with the back-to-back titles?
I tell you, I was all set to go to L.A., and unfortunately we voted on the rules package that night, so I had to cancel my trip. My family got to go, but it was unfortunate. But man, what a great season! And I'll give you a scoop. I hope I'm not speaking too soon, but I'm going to have a special guest at the State of the Union address in February, and we're trying to work out the details right now. But I will tell you that this special guest is from the 1st District. So that's
who that could be.
That sounds good.
Oh, yeah, I wonder who that could be.
He's also Pierce County's favorite son at this point.
There you go. The mailman delivers. When's that going to take place?
February 4th, I believe.
February 4th.
We're trying to work out the logistics of getting there. But
that would be great. Good deal. Well, buddy, we always good to talk to you. Like I said, there's a lot going on. So I appreciate you calling in. You're being a regular, and we continue to hope that you'll continue to call in and keep us up to date with, because there's a lot going on in Washington, D.C. It's happening in places. So, but we do appreciate you calling in. Thanks again for the call, and look forward to talking to you the next time you call in.
Okay,
See you.
thank y'all.
All right, take care, buddy.
105.5 FM in Jessup, Big Dog Country Radio, WIFO. Bob, it's good to hear from our congressman.
Yeah, I said a lot going on, so I always appreciate him calling in.
Yeah, we sure do. And we wish him the best up there and look forward to hearing from him again. And now it's time to get the governor on.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Working on it? Yeah, now it's time to get the governor on. All right. All right, Bob, any other final words of wisdom this morning before we head out of the world-famous Butch and Bob Show?
Another nice day.
Another nice day. All right, take care. All right, the world-famous Butch and Bob Show. Okay, the world-famous Butch and Bob Show brought to you by O'Quinn & Associates and by Murphy Builder Supply, Vans Barbecue, and First Southern Bank.